Hello, I'm back. Now we're working with language for week 2. As far as math referred to, a video for week 2 of math. But today, right now, we're looking at language. And where we left off was talking about complements. Okay. Remember, a complement that follows an action verb is called a direct object. A direct object is a noun or pronoun that follows an action verb and receives that action from that verb. It answers the question, what or whom. The object of a preposition will never be a direct object. Never in a preposition will you have a direct object. It will never be in a prepositional phrase. If you don't remember your preposition, turn back in their book. There's a list of prepositions. An indirect object is a noun or pronoun that is located between the action verb and the direct object of a sentence. It tells a whom or whom, to what, or for what the action of the verb is done. Okay? So, for example, in sentence number in page 276, thank C, you don't have to do write B on this, just do thank C on page 276. You have the sentence that says, Jacob gave Joseph a coat of many colors. Alright, so what I do first is going all the way back to the first week or two of marking up a sentence. And I would do that again. So first you find your verb. Okay, in this sentence, gave is your action verb. So underline gave twice. Who gave? Well, that is your subject. Your subject is Jacob. Underline it once or just write the S above Jacob. Then you look to see if there is any prepositional phrases. And in this sentence there is. Of many colors. So I would go ahead and parentheses of many colors, and that will set apart your prepositional phrase. Okay? So now you need to find the direct object. Remember, the direct object is what was the verb did, pretty much. So Jacob gave. What did Jacob give? He gave coat. So coat is your DO or your direct object. Okay, he gave a coat. Who did he give a coat to? Joseph. So Joseph is your IO or your indirect object. So that is how you would mark this sentence for number 1. Okay, we'll do another one. She wrote her friend a long letter. Okay, she wrote her friend a long letter. Okay, first you got to find your verb. Wrote is your verb. So underline it twice and put AV. We'll do the same for the one above. It shows action verb. Okay, who wrote? She. So she is your subject. Okay, now see if there's any prepositional phrases. There are not any prepositional phrases. Okay, now find your direct object. What did she wrote, or what did she write? She wrote what? Letter. Your letter is your direct object. Okay? And now we got to find out to see if there's an indirect object. Who did she write a letter to? According to this sentence, is friend. So friend would be your indirect object. I'm looking to see if there's all will have an indirect object. Some may not have indirect objects. Some may just have direct object. Okay. On those, just ask yourself the questions, and it will help you. Find your verb, find your subject. What did the subject do? And if it applies, who did they do it to? Okay. So those are your how you do day 270 or day 6 and day 7. Now I'm going to go over your day 8, and it's it's describing linking verbs. Okay, we all know the linking verbs. They're the state of being. Am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been. Zachary is here. Okay, they link the subject. Is what linking verbs are. Okay, linking verbs links the subject with a complement in the predicate that describes the subject or renames the object. Okay? Zachary is here. Okay? Is a linking verb. Okay? Then you have these are the confusing ones, the sometimes linking verbs. They are taste, feel, smell, sound, look, appear, become, seem, grow, remain, stay. Okay? I taste the apple. I'm actually doing an action. So these can be actions. I'm doing an action. Or I look at the squirrel. Okay? I am looking at a squirrel. I am doing an action. Well, sometimes they are linking verbs. For example, on page 279 says, your head feels warm. Can your head literally feel? No. You can't literally feel. Your head can't literally feel. Or the lemon taste tart. Can a lemon, does it have the ability to taste? The lemon itself, the object itself, have the ability to taste? No. You've kind of got to be literal on these. So we're doing that 279 and page 280. We're looking at them in more of a detail. Okay? The first one says, the hungry boy tasted the warm pie. Can a boy taste? Oh, yes. You can actually do the action of taste. Okay? But then you have the number 2 that says, the pie tasted good. Can a pie actually do the action of tasting? Of course not. So, number 2, the word tasted is a linking verb because it cannot do the action. Okay? Number 1, where the hungry boy tasted the warm pie, you can do that action, so it's an action verb. But in number 2, the pie tasted good. The pie can't taste. It does not have the ability to taste anything. So that is a linking verb. Okay? Then we get into predicate nominative. Okay? A predicate nominative is a noun or pronoun that follows a verb and renames the subject. It's the same thing pretty much as direct objects are, but in direct objects you have to have an action verb. If it's not an action verb, then you don't have a direct object. In predicate nominative, or I call it predicate nominative, because the predicate nominative is always going to be a noun. Okay? And it happens when you have a sentence with a linking verb. For example, the field is our playground. Okay? That's number 1. Okay? What is your verb in number 1 at the bottom of page 281? The verb is. Is a linking verb. Okay? So the italicized word in think B on page 281, which is playground, is a predicate nominative because is a linking verb. Okay? Or in 1859, Oregon became a state. Another sentence, sentence 3 on page 281, think B. Became, if you go back to your list, and you can feel free to go back to your list on page 279 of the sometimes linking verbs. If you notice, is a sometimes linking verb. Become. Oregon become. Okay? Become is a linking verb. So the italicized word state is a predicate nominative. If you look on number 4, it says, Mom made my new dress. Okay? Made is an action verb. So the italicized word dress would be a direct object. So if it's a noun and it's an action verb, it's direct object. If it's a noun and you have a linking verb, then it's a predicate nominative. Again, I call them predicate nominative just to keep in mind that it's going to be a noun. Because then we get into predicate adjectives. A predicate adjective is an adjective complement that follows a linking verb and describes the subject. Okay, for example, thank A, page 282. You have our teacher has been sick. Okay, you find your verb has been. You find your subject, which is teacher. Then you got to find your adjective, your predicate adjective. Has been is a linking verb. Because it's a linking verb, sick is describing the teacher. So just because it's a linking verb and it's an adjective describing the teacher, it is a predicate adjective. Okay? Or this pencil is dull. Is your linking verb. Pencil is your subject. Dull is describing pencil. Because you have the linking verb is, dull is describing pencil. Dull is a predicate adjective. Use your blue boxes. I tell y'all this a lot, but use your blue boxes. It gives you examples and kind of does a little better, maybe sometimes a better explanation than I myself. Then we're dealing at the end, you're looking at some diagramming. Diagramming a direct object. Give me a minute here and I'll erase some things and I'll show you kind of how to do that. Okay, start off like we always have before. Underline subject twice, or the verb twice, subject once. Remember the verb goes on the right side of the line. Subject is on the left side. Tonto 1. And when you're diagramming a direct object, the object goes on the same line as the subject and verb. And if you're dealing with a direct object, you do a straight line after one, then put your direct object, which would be race. So the race goes on this line. And of course, this is the adjective. Remember, it goes on the diagonal line underneath race. Okay. Indirect object. Have the Lone Ranger taught the rustler a lesson. Okay, with the indirect object, again, your normal line. Subject is Lone Ranger. Verb is taught. So Lone Ranger over here. Taught. What did he teach? Lesson. So lesson goes right here. Remember, it's just another straight line. Okay, when you're doing an indirect object, it's kind of like a preposition, how we did the diagonal, then the straight line. Okay, who did he teach? He taught rustler, so that's your indirect object is rustler, and it goes on the straight horizontal line underneath the verb. Okay, then of course, the is an adjective, so it describes rustler. And A is an adjective, it describes lesson. That's how you do the direct object ones. Use your book. It gives you detailed instructions on how to do this on page 284 to 286. Use your book. It will help. Read over it. Okay? To do predicate nominative, and predicate adjectives, you're pretty much going to do the same thing, but there is a difference. So you have the Lone Ranger is a hero. Okay, mark your sentence up first. Lone Ranger at your subject. Verb is. And what kind of verb is this? Linking verb. And what is the Lone Ranger? Hero. Because this is a linking verb, remember, this is a predicate nominative. Okay, so it's a P-N. Okay, and when you diagram it, you do the same. You do your typical one. Okay, Lone Ranger. Your verb is. But instead of doing a straight line up and down, you do a diagonal line after your verb when it's a predicate nominative or adjective. And what was the Lone Ranger? Lone Ranger was or is hero. A goes underneath heroes because it's an adjective, and V goes underneath Lone Ranger because it's an adjective. So it should look like this right here. And last but not least, Tonto is loyal. This is a predicate adjective. Okay. Mark up your sentence again. Tonto is your subject. Verb is, and it's a linking verb. And loyal is describing Tonto, so it's a predicate adjective. Okay. So when you do your diagram, you do is over here on the right, Tonto on the left, and just like we did with predicate nominatives, you do a diagonal line here, then you put your adjective on this line because it is a predicate adjective. Okay. Again, use your book. It will help you. If you have some questions, feel free to email me through My School Works. I will be checking it. I'm glad to be back, and I hope y'all are having a good week, and I look forward to seeing y'all again soon.